Welcome. I hope you enjoy the conversation you're about to see between me and another comedian about religion and comedy. These are conversations I'm calling disorganized religion. God bless. And for those atheists out there, may nothing await you after this life.
Hey nerds, welcome to another edition of Disorganized Religion. I'm your host, Seth Lawrence, as always, and this week we are joined by the fantastic Veronica Kwiatowski. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. How are
Yep,
you?
I'm doing well. I should say Veronica is a fantastic comedian. I ask her how she wants me to introduce her. That's her one request, and then I forget. I just go straight to her name. So,
Well, you added fantastic, so thank you. I appreciate
Is
it.
that okay? All right.
Yeah.
Whew, boy. So how long have you been doing stand-up?
Like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been doing it about the same amount of time. I thought
Yeah.
you'd been doing it quite a bit longer than I had.
No, thank you for that. I'll take that as a good thing. No,
Yeah.
3 years. I'm wondering and I'm curious what your thoughts are is like, will I count this 7-month break as part of it when people ask me in the future, or will I just keep saying like 3 years?
Right. Well, have you been doing like Zoom shows and stuff or no?
I did it. Not really. I did a couple at the beginning, and then they just, I'm gonna be honest, they just kind of started bumming me out. But I do have a few coming up. I think I've been trying to change my mindset on it and just use it as an opportunity to like,
Yeah.
just fuck around. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you done any?
I have done a few, yep. And I think I had similar outlooks. It's a different skill set, I guess, really is what I've
Mm-hmm.
found out on the Zoom shows. And the one big thing it's taught me is to be comfortable in the few moments of silence because of lag and internet time.
Yeah.
To be comfortable with that silence before you hear the laugh, if you even hear the laugh at all. Because some Zoom
Mm-hmm.
shows that really, I think, most depressing ones for me are the ones where the audience is all muted themselves or so those ones are tough, but well, fun. I hope these future Zoom shows for you are a more positive experience than the prior ones have been.
I hope so. And I booked my first like socially distanced show. It's not for another month, so I have time, but I'm nervous. It's been
Yeah.
so long. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well, good. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
glad that a lot of these outdoor shows are starting to pop up again in and out of
Mm-hmm.
LA. I guess whether or not they are legally permitted or not, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing matters anymore.
And we just need to get out. We need to get out. We need to interact with people in a safe way. Well, very
Mm-hmm.
fun. Very fun. That'll be exciting. So is it in state, your outdoor show?
Yeah, it's actually it's just like at a park in LA. So
Yeah,
we'll see. I don't
perfect.
know how many people are like allowed to go. But it'll be nice to just like I think be back with an
Yeah,
audience in
yeah,
person.
yeah, for sure. And we'll see what Gavin Newsom has in the docket for, restrictions on social gatherings as the
Yeah.
election approaches and maybe after the election. I'll be curious
Well,
to see
that's
what
one thing.
happens.
Yeah, I'm like, is this show even going to happen? Because it's November 11th. I'm like,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
I hope I'm
yeah.
not jinxing myself because I want to do it, but we'll see.
No, I'm
I'm
sure it
scared.
will. I'm sure it will happen. I hope it does. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, people have been renting out the Rose Bowl. Like Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer have rented out the Rose Bowl for
Yeah,
later in
I saw
November, I
that.
think. Like, people are doing things regardless of what's on the
Hmm.
legal, I guess, health code books. Anyhow,
Hmm.
3 years. So, what motivated you to start stand up?
Um, I was like always drawn to it, and I feel like a lot of people have a similar story, but it's like I didn't know why I liked it so much, and I would
Uh
always
huh.
say like I would totally tell this joke or like I would do that differently. Like, bitch, it's because you want to do it. Like it just took me a minute to realize that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was that. I mean, I've always like I have very kind of like savagely funny parents, so I grew up in a house where it's like everyone's doing bits and making jokes. I am like the least funny person in my family, so that was
Oh,
like good
really?
training. Oh yeah,
Interesting.
it's intense.
Yeah. How
Yeah, and
how
then
big is your family?
small, like it's just my parents, my mom and dad, and my younger brother, but they're all pretty witty and on it. So
Got it.
you gotta
Got
be
it.
on your toes when you're around them. But yeah,
Sure. That's
and
exciting.
that
Sorry, I interrupted you before. What were you going to say?
oh no, and yeah, and so then I just kind of finally like bit the bullet. I think I was like really unhappy at my day job, and I was sort of reaching that point where I was out of school for a few years and kind of needing, realizing I needed to figure out what I actually wanted to be doing. And then I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I just need to try it. Like, if it goes poorly, at least I know, and at least I have my answer. And then it didn't go poorly, and I was like, yep, okay, cool.
That's it. That's it. Oh, that's great. So what kind
Yeah.
of day job did you have? What kind of stuff were you doing before?
I still, I kind of half have it. I've evolved away from what I was first doing, but yeah,
Uh,
I started out literally like putting ads on Hulu. It was,
got it.
yeah, the
Yeah.
thing everyone loves.
Right.
Was
Right.
me.
But I mean, once you start really making it big, once comedy comes back and we all break free of the chains of quarantine and start
Hmm.
getting our own specials out there, Veronica, that ad placement is going to come in so handy for you,
I know.
right?
It really shaped me. I will say that job was rough, but it was actually a great first job out of college, and I got so much material about just like having a fucking shitty desk job, and I felt like that really connected with audiences, and it was just
Sure.
like, a just gold mine of, I was like, this is not normal. Like,
Yeah.
what is a job? Like this, it just sucks. But yeah, now I'm a copywriter, I'm much happier. So I still kind of work in advertising, but in a little bit more of a creative way.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. Well, yeah, I mean, there's so
Yeah,
much material in a bad office job. That's what the whole show, The Office, was about.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. I just don't think I was like, I don't know. It just really, I was not ready for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, nothing can really prepare you for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's always a little bit
Yeah.
different than expected. What
Mhm.
did you study in college? Did you study marketing?
Kind of. I studied economics and communication studies, so it was very much like I don't know what I want to do. That feels sort of businessy and
Sure.
broad, and you know,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
figure it out kind of thing. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So some people look at economics as explanation of human behavior. Do you feel like that, or is it more just a business science for you?
No, I definitely liked the human element of it. Like, and one thing I liked about the comm major, like there were a lot of like psych classes, so it was always interesting, kind of like
Mm,
having both. But it's just, I mean, I feel like econ is more about just like this is always what's going to happen, but it was kind of cool to like it is like a person driven science, and I don't know, it was interesting. It was like a lot of math, which like I cannot do math. I don't know why I like signed up for that. So I'm
sure.
glad I don't have to like really do that anymore, but it was still cool to
Yeah.
just kind of like get that perspective of the world. And yeah, I'm glad I did it. I think it taught me
Yeah.
how to think.
Now, which math aspect of economics killed you more, the macro or the micro?
Both. And I don't know if it was just a UCLA thing, but I had to take so many calculus like prereq classes, and it
Sure.
just like didn't make sense in my brain. I was like in tutoring, I feel like every day just being like, I don't get it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just didn't compute.
Well, it's good now. You're more into a language heavy side of the
Thank
career.
God.
That's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations. That's exciting.
Like, yeah.
So where did you first do like your first open mic? Where was it? And why did you feel like it went well? Or, what led you to believe
So
it went well?
I took a class, which is like
Okay.
everyone shits on, but you know what? Who, Hulu paid for it. My company paid for it. So
Oh,
I
that's
was just
excellent.
like, whatever. So I ended
Yeah.
up taking a class, and, it was good. So they had like a grad show at the improv.
Uh-huh.
So that was really fun. And it was nice because I got a tape out of it, which was
Yeah.
oddly somewhat usable, but it was such a supportive audience because it's like all your friends just are like, that's so cool, I want to come.
Sure.
So maybe I had an inflated sense of it going well. And then after that, I went to my first open mic at, what's that place? Is it still there? It's like the improv space in Westwood. You been there? Is
Oh,
that
I
what it's
don't
called?
know. I don't know if it is still there. I've never been out there.
It was cool. It's like a little black box improv theater. So I remember going to that, and I was so fucking nervous because for this
Yeah.
I was like, oh, now I'm actually like doing it. Like the show was fun,
Yeah.
but it was, your friends are there,
Sure.
whatever.
Sure. A little coddled
Um,
through the experience.
Very, but I'm
Yeah.
glad I had that because I think it gave me a sense of security that I don't know if I would have had I not had that show.
Sure.
But yeah, it was rough. I got there like 3 hours early because I was so nervous so I could sign up on time. But of course, I didn't understand how open mics work. I was still somehow like 40th on the list. Um,
Right.
it was like, okay. But yeah, so I remember going up later, and I remember seeing people and being like, oh my God, like they're all so funny. But then I would see someone bomb, and I was like, okay, it's not just going to be me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and there were some people left towards the end. And honestly, it was like a couple jokes landed, a couple didn't. And I left, and I was like, oh, that didn't matter. It was fun. And I'm going to keep doing this now. And,
Yeah.
here we are.
No, well, that's great. Yeah, I mean that's what
Yeah,
open mics are for, right? It's just see what
exactly.
works, what doesn't work, and
Hmm.
hopefully have some of your worst experiences at an open mic as opposed to at a show. Yeah. And
Yeah.
what was your first book show like?
It was probably, I think it was a bringer for sure. Like I was only
Uh-huh.
doing like, I did
Was
bringers and then a lot of bar shows that were like really, you know,
yeah.
bar shows.
Yeah. Was the bringer at the Comedy Store?
Of course, as
Of
they all are.
course. All the good
Yeah.
ones. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but again, you know what? Stage time,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's some useful skills from a bringer show. I mean, I did a few bringer shows and it definitely helped me get myself out there, right? Like
right.
marketing wise and inviting friends and family and everybody that I knew in LA,
Yeah,
for better or for worse. So I think there are positives to every experience.
I think so too. And I think as long as you know, and I did know that it's like, just do like one of these, don't make this your thing. I was like, whatever. But then I think I remember my first bar show actually was in Riverside,
Mm,
like some random bar in Riverside. So that was like an
sure.
experience also of like you're driving 2 hours out to a bar, but it was actually so
Yeah.
fun because
Was it
I
with
had a
the down and
heckler.
out crowd?
No,
Oh, okay. All
I don't
right.
think I know them.
Great. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, where was your first show?
Yeah. Flappers, I think was the first show I got booked on. It was a
Oh,
Flappers
yeah.
show. Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
great place to start. I love flappers.
Yeah, it's everyone's got to start somewhere, and they were
Hmm.
definitely the most conducive to newer comedians. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, sweet. So how would you describe your comedy for someone who has never seen you before? What is in your mind, your comedic persona, your your act? How would you describe
I
it?
mean, flawless, sensational,
Right, of course,
the best thing. No,
of
I feel
course.
like I'm very like dry and witty. Like I try like I don't really like move a lot. Like I just feel like I kind of stand there and tell jokes.
Hmm.
Sarcastic,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean,
Would you
one
agree?
thing that yes, I would agree
Okay, great.
wholeheartedly. One thing that impressed me about your comedic persona is that, you are an attractive woman, and it's difficult, I think, for women in particular to do self-deprecating humor when they look
Hmm.
nice, but you seem to pull it off.
Oh, thank
And
you.
it's, to me, that's what I found most I think talented, driven about you. It proved that you were very self-critical, very honest, and a good writer. You found those things that were fun about yourself to poke fun at that I think makes the rest of the crowd be like, okay, we can be on board with this person.
Yeah, I try to like. I feel like I've tried the self-deprecating. I remember for a long time I had a joke about my nose, and it was kind of working, but it kind of wasn't. And then one time a woman after she was like, "Your nose isn't that bad." And I was like, "Yeah, but people still are shitting on me for it constantly. I've been like bullied for it." But I was
Oh
like, "I
my
get what you're
gosh.
saying. From many feet away, you can't tell." So I feel like now I focus more on like personality flaws that I can shit on
Uh-huh.
myself for, and that's way
Sure.
easier because it's like I've got a fucking just laundry list of them. So yeah,
Right. 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 Of course. Of course.
yeah,
Well, and the Zoom shows can only help with that, actually. They're right up and personal with your face. So
they
maybe
really are.
bring
Yeah,
the Zoom, maybe bring the nose joke back just for
I'll do
Zoom.
it from the side, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, now we get it. Okay, now we
Yeah,
understand."
now we
Yeah,
see it. Oh, that's
yeah.
hilarious. Okay.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So, with a last name like Kwiatowski, where is your
Mhm.
family from?
Yeah, this will maybe easily jump into our religion thing. But so my dad's side of the family is from Argentina. My
Okay.
mom's side is from England. But the reason we have this Polish last name is because my grandpa was born in Poland right around when World War II was starting. They're
Wow.
Jewish, so
Yeah.
when he was a baby, they went down to Argentina, as many people did. But it's this funny thing where like there's these huge, Jewish communities in Argentina with these like insane last names. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you end up in LA.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. So
yeah.
are you from a bilingual household, or have, is it just English?
Um, Mostly English. I mean, my dad definitely like would speak to us in Spanish, but it's not something that no, my mom doesn't speak it, so it's not like they were also communicating in Spanish. So it
Uh-huh.
was primarily in English, but it was funny because my dad would always drive us to school in the mornings, and so we would only speak in Spanish in the car. And like my brother and I are just like terrible at it. Like I can get by and I can understand it, but it's like
Sure.
I suck. I can barely speak English. Like don't throw a
Oh,
second
come
language onto
on.
me. It's hard. But we like have this running joke where like, as we would be driving, my dad would like point things out like on the drive, and then we would have to say the word in Spanish. And the word for bridge, we'd always have to drive under this bridge to get to our school, and the word for bridge is puente. So like we would always get so excited because we'd be like, puente, we know the word, and like that's the only word that has stuck. So I can really talk about bridges in Spanish.
Oh, that's
and
great.
That's about it.
Repetition is key with learning a new language. So that's probably why the only word that stuck was puente. That's great.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So okay, so family is I guess, as far as genealogy goes, Polish, Jewish, and then you have this Argentinian influence and American. So religiously, feels like you're skirting the line between Jewish and Catholic, or Christian, I guess more broadly. Where do you fall? Where did you fall growing up?
Well, I think another thing that's interesting is like my mom and her side of the family, like she was raised Catholic, and then she very much like kind of rejected that. And then I think my dad identifies with the very like cultural side of Judaism, but both of them I think would probably not identify with being religious people, and they didn't really raise us with religion at all, which was interesting because my cousins and the rest of that side of the family is much more like practicing Jews. And my parents were kind of both like, we were raised super religious, so we kind of want the choice to be up to you and your brother, and we're not going to like make you do it either way.
Gotcha.
So just, not a very like religious upbringing. I did go on Birthright. I think in college I was just a little bit like intrigued by the Jewish side because I did feel a little bit more of like a pull there. And
on a free trip to the homeland of Jerusalem. Come on.
Exactly. I'm not going to say no. So I wouldn't say like that was, it wasn't necessarily like a super religious upbringing. It was more of like open to whatever.
Got it. So you didn't really grow up going to mass or to synagogue.
No. No, I've never really like been to services ever. It's kind of crazy.
Wow, that is crazy. Interesting. So where do you fall now on the side of spirituality, religion? Is there a God? Is there nothing? What do you think?
I think about this a lot because like I feel like it's a very like annoying LA thing to be like, I'm more spiritual than anything. But I do.
It is an annoying LA thing. No.
It is. But like I think there's something out there for sure. Especially I feel like this year I've really been like thinking about like what the fuck. So I do think that like
the quarantine has pushed you more toward a religious or spiritual aspect than away from it. I've talked to a lot of people who feel like there can't be God. Come on. With all this going on, there's no way.
And I totally get that, but then I'm also like, this is all psychotic. So I'm like, this can't just be random,
Sure.
Something, and I'm very into the idea of like old, like infinite universes. Like I definitely think that there's just like, there's something bigger than us, and I don't know what it is. And I don't know if I've just maybe not found a more organized religion that would get me there. But I think it's interesting, and I don't think that there's nothing like. Because for a while I thought maybe I'm atheist, but I'm like, I don't know if that sits right with me. Because to me, like, this is just like, what? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can definitely help you out with the more organized religion part. Just send me your address. I'll send you a book, 2 friends. They'll come do everything you need to know.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think that does make sense as far as wanting to, well, I guess human, we are a communal animal, right? We want a community. We want to belong to something. And I feel like atheists achieve that by hanging out with other atheists. They kind of create their own tribe. So there might be some of that element for you too, where it's like, well, I don't know spiritually or religiously, however you want to term it, where do I belong? Where do I want to belong? But yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's like I have so many weird like things that have happened where it's like I have this story, and I won't bore you with all of the details, but my cousin, he lives in Argentina. We see each other when we see each other. It's not every day. And when I graduated college, I went to Europe with some friends just on a like, yay, we finally graduated trip. So we had like the craziest night. We were on a night train going from Budapest to Croatia that broke down like in the middle of the night. So we almost got like left on the border, and then we got picked up by another train. So just had like this crazy, crazy night. We finally make it to Croatia, and we're just like, my friends and I were just like totally wiped out. We're like, we are just dying. Like, we got to go to the beach and just lay there and, whatever.
Sure.
So we go to this beach. It's like just a beach, whatever. And we kind of finally wake up a couple hours later. We're like, oh, let's go in the water. Let's cool down. So I'm out in the water with my friend. And we're like pretty far out because it's shallow for like a long way. So we're really far out from the beach. And I see this guy in the water, and I said to my friend, I was like, oh, it's so weird. That like kind of looks like my cousin, but like that's, whatever. We go back to talking and just relaxing. And then I noticed that he's like coming closer to me, and he's giving me a weird look. And I was like, why is this dude like looking at me? Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And he gets closer to me, and it's my fucking cousin that lives in Buenos Aires that I ran into in the middle of the ocean. So it's like things like that. I'm like, this, I don't know.
Yeah. So why would that be? Because I think a lot of people would be like, well, that's a crazy coincidence. But it feels like you are assigning some sort of spiritual meaning to that, which I'm not going to judge at all. I think that's great. But why? Why would that be kind of a more spiritual leaning experience for you?
Because to me, it's like, that's just so, like, that can't be random. But then I also like, makes me think like, I don't think there's just like one God in the sky that's like, I'm gonna make her run into her cousin in the ocean today, because if I would think there was one central God, he would have bigger problems. But I just feel like the universe is so mysterious, and it's like, why at that one point in time did we run into each other? That's just crazy.
Well, yeah, and I think, from my religious background, it's we kind of explain that dichotomy, and I do believe this, that God does have, I think, huge problems to solve, but some of the biggest problems are our individual issues, and that is an evidence of his almighty power, is his ability to focus on the individual and, reach out and let us know that he's there, mindful, and that he loves us and is concerned about us, So I think that's an expression of his almighty power, is when he focuses on an individual.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Well, that's another reason why you need to come over to this side, No,
is
that's
this
great.
Actually like that's your mission with the podcast, is to just convert everybody?
Just convert everybody. I mean, the truth is, Veronica, my religion, and I believe this, we're going to get everybody in the end, one way or the other. Okay. So if it's now, great. If it's later, that's great. No big deal. No big deal at all. So given your upbringing, do you feel like if and when you get married and have kids, is that something you want to do? Have kids, have a family? Or are you like, whatever? And if so, are you wanting to raise them at all religious? Or is that, not going to factor into it for you?
The issue of having kids is one that I don't know where I stand, because I just like, I don't know. I mean, this world is really fucked up right now, as we all know, and whatever. We've talked about that for days, but it's like, do I want to bring kids into this? Like, if we really are sort of just like on the downhill.
On the tail end of our existence. Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about that, because if 2 more years go by and it looks like we're all going to burn up in flames in 10 years, I don't want to, I'll just get a dog. So
what you're saying is if Joe Biden wins, you'll consider having a child. That's what you're saying.
I would think about it. Yes. But
a celebratory Biden baby. That's great.
Exactly. Well, I also, it's like, it's such a future me problem that I don't even know if I have an answer for it yet, but I don't not want them. And I think if they did end up going down that route, obviously it would have to be incredibly rich for it to work. But,
I think you need a nanny and full-time daycare, okay.
Yeah, and they need their own room. Like,
I'm
not going to have like poorly dressed children. No, it's not going to work. So there's a lot to think about.
Not happening. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think I would probably go more the route of what my parents did and just be like, it's up to you, and you choose. But if I guess like for me, it was like, I look back on it, I'm like, well, if I had just like wanted to like wake up one day and go to church, like, would they have taken me? And I don't know, like, if I had my own car.
Right. So I think which church would you have even chosen that you could go to? Yeah.
Right. So I wonder if I would maybe do something where it's like, I'm not going to push it on you, but hey, do you want to go to this like Hebrew camp for a week in the summer? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. Excellent. Well, I think I don't want you to make you late for your next meeting. So what I'd like to do is close out the show with the segment, What's the Deal with Mormons? Do you
Yes.
have any, What's the
What
Deal
is
with
the deal with
Mormons?
Mormons?
Veronica Kwiatowski. Any questions you have
Okay,
for me regarding my faith?
I have many questions, but the first one I need to
Yeah.
ask, like, what is your, and then if you could be a spokesperson for all other Mormons, what is your
Sure.
view on the Book of Mormon? Have you seen it? What do you guys like? What's the feeling on it?
Love it. Oh, you're talking about the musical. I was like, I've seen the book many
Yeah,
times.
no,
I have
no,
one of
not the
my
book, the
own.
South Park one.
um, I have listened to the music, and I find it, what Trey Parker and Matt Stone do with Mormonism, I think is very endearing. On one level, I suppose there's a little bit of insult in that the way they deal with it
Hmm.
is sort of like, oh, they're just so sweet and naive. So,
Hmm.
they're not going to harm anybody because they're kind of just dumb. And that's
Mm.
fine. And they'll grow out of it. Or, that's kind of it's a little bit patronizing, but at the same time, I do think they find a great respect for individuals of my ilk that have a faith and that believe in something kind of outside of
Hmm.
themselves. So I've wanted to see it. It was coming to the Pantages, not the Pantages. It was going to a theater in Pasadena,
Ooh,
and then the pandemic hit. So I think they
yeah,
had to cancel the show. So I'm hoping it comes back once this all lifts. I'd like to go see it. I think generally, as far as the rest of my people go, it's probably not something that the established church would endorse to go see or
sure.
encourage to go see. But I don't think anybody would. I guess I'll put it this way: in the hometown where I grew up, which was Orem, Utah, people would
Mhm.
probably raise eyebrows about going to see it. Here in
Okay,
LA,
fair.
I don't think anyone would think twice. I
Okay,
think you would be like, okay, yeah, it's, you want to see what the world is saying about us, that's fine. If you have
yeah,
to endure a few swear words, that, you're going to hear that
yeah,
anyway. So,
okay,
yeah. Yeah. But,
fair.
I'm always flattered. Anytime the media, I was talking with Zach Stein over text, and he said Fargo, that series on Hulu, just
Uh,
barely introduced a Mormon character, apparently, into the series. So,
okay. Representation.
represent, baby. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
always intrigued when we're in the
yeah.
media in any form. So
Because I saw it, and I mean, it's hilarious, but like the whole time, like I went with some friends, and we were like, "Is this like incredibly offensive?" Like we just didn't know. We were like, "This is so fucking funny." But if this was about me, I don't know how I'd feel. But I'm fine.
right,
I don't
right.
know.
I mean, from the songs that I've heard, there is an aspect of colonialism that I'm not super fond
Yeah.
of, but it's hard to get past that. I
Yeah.
mean, how else do you describe a bunch of predominantly white people as far as the church in the United States goes? It's mostly Caucasian. How do you get
Mhm.
around that? Us going
Right.
and thinking it should be our duty to go to other countries and be like, this is the real God.
Yeah. What is it like Mormonism in LA versus Utah? Is it different, or is it all kind of
I
the
mean, the
same?
church is actually quite standardized in what is taught. So we all
Mhm.
follow the same curriculum. You can basically go to any service on a Sunday anywhere in the world, and you're going to hear basically the same stuff, which is
Okay.
great. I think the difference that I've felt is an attitude amongst the membership. So obviously,
Mm.
there's kind of this espoused gospel and religion that is taught by the church. And then there's the practice and kind of the culture that emerges within the normal people. And growing up in Utah, both actually when my wife and I were dating, we both had very strong feelings to get out, that we wanted out of Utah. When we raised our
Mm.
family, we wanted to do so outside of Utah because it's a judgy culture. I think a lot of religious
Mm.
cultures are, and Mormonism's no different.
Mm.
Despite what we preach, love and accept
Mm.
everyone. Not really.
Yeah.
We're all trying to improve. In LA,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more like, you kind of, we understand that we all believe in Jesus Christ, that he's our savior, and there's some certain other tenets that we all believe in, but okay, you might feel differently about the word of wisdom a little bit, and
Mm.
that's up to you, I suppose,
Okay.
within reason. So it's a little bit more, I think, open as far as the culture and membership goes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So when you were dating, and before you met your wife, like, would you only date Mormon women, or were you like open to other religions, or was that like a big criteria for you?
Yeah, I mean, in Utah, it was in the city where I grew up, and the women that I was meeting, it was like 98% were members of the faith. So it's not even like a
Yeah.
conscious choice that I really had.
Okay.
But certainly getting married or thinking about marriage, yeah, it was a big deal to me to marry
Yeah.
someone within the faith. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if it meant that I had to convert someone, I wasn't really opposed to that either.
Totally. I
But
feel like that's the same with Judaism. It's always like it's very like keep it in the family.
sure. Yeah. There's a very similar. I mean, my one of my thoughts regarding the similarities, and I've said this before on the podcast, so all the listeners are probably sick of this joke, but I feel like Mormons are Jews 2.0. We are the
That's funny.
second chosen group. So
Second,
you guys are the
I love
oldest
that.
group, and that's fine. That's great. We're the second. We're the second coming.
You're the new one.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. Exactly.
What was it about Mormon? Like, what's your favorite thing about Mormonism or like being a Mormon?
I mean, gosh, I think one of the funnest aspects to think about is the afterlife. I mean, our belief in the afterlife is fun. I know a lot of people poke fun at our planets that we'll get in the afterlife, but if you're gonna make something up, you might as well go big, right?
Wait, I don't think I know enough about that. Can you enlighten me?
Oh, sure. So Mormonism, we believe in a big heaven and in a very small kind of limited hell as far as the traditional ideas go about heaven and hell. And our heaven is divided into kind of 3 states of glory is what we call them. And the tippity top one where we believe Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother live is the celestial kingdom in, exaltation. So to be exalted as a Mormon means that you are going to be there with your spouse, making spirit babies and planets for those spirit babies to go down to inhabit as physical people.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. So I think that's a fun aspect. I mean, there's a lot I really.
Well, so what are the other 2?
The other 2? Oh, the other 2 levels of heaven. So you have celestial, which is the top, terrestrial, which is the middle, and telestial, which is the lowest. And as far as the lowest, I mean, the only people that we really believe go to hell, or what we call outer darkness, are the people that have a perfect understanding of Jesus Christ. They know for sure the gospel is real, that, everything that we believe is true. They know it. And decide to abandon that belief, and not only abandon it, but also bring others down with them. Try to convince others that there is no God or there is no Savior. They're the ones that are going to outer darkness.
Okay.
Everybody else, so that means murderers, rapists, pedophiles, they're all going to the telestial kingdom, assuming they don't repent as they should, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you like ideally are going to the celestial, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're a piece of shit, and then
Right, or just not as good as you should be. Yeah. Then you're not, but it's still good. It's still a degree of glory, still a part of heaven. So but I guess for my faith, the biggest kind of draw, other than making planets and all that,
yeah, that's cool,
is the association. So we think that the celestial kingdom, you're there with your spouse, and essentially the family that you create, and the family that you had here on earth. There will still be those connections that exist. But for the other levels of heaven, you're kind of flying solo. So if you're not, it's bachelorette life. If that doesn't bother you so bad, then maybe you'll be okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we think.
That is comforting. That you would not be alone in the afterlife.
Right. Yeah, I think some people might not care. Some of us do. Yeah. So I find that pretty comforting.
Yeah. You know how like the Amish, they have like Rumspringa when you're like 18. Is there like a Mormon equivalent to that, where you have like hey, here's a year to take a break and try shit and then come back, or not? Like, do you guys do that?
Not really. What we do is we do kind of the opposite, and it's the missions. So that Book of Mormon musical is all about people going on their missions, right? So that's what we do. For men, it's 2 years. For women, it's 1.5 years. And it's kind of immersing yourself in the gospel as opposed to withdrawing and exploring other things. But it's
Where did you
certainly,
go on your mission?
I went
sorry.
to Eastern Canada.
Cool.
So, you get to experience other cultures, and I
Yeah.
suppose kind of indirectly experience other ways of life by talking to a lot of other people. But,
Yeah.
it's not like you're encouraged to go to a strip club, see if you like that, see if you don't like that, go, anyway. So I liked it. I liked my mission quite a
Yeah.
bit, actually. Yeah.
Where do you like live when you're there? Do you just like, is there like a central place, or do you just kind of like find an apartment? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So my mission was fairly well established. There are some missions that are like new that kind of open up. And so like when our church is hopefully finally allowed into mainland China en masse, there will be a lot of new missions that will open up, and there will be some missionaries that will go and have to like find a place to live.
Oh, wow.
Ours was pretty well established, so we already had apartments kind of throughout the province of Quebec. So we would, and you're not paired, like I didn't have one companion the entire 2 years. I had
Oh,
a lot of different companions depending on where I was moved.
mm,
So they do that for, consistency of kind of knowledge of the area. So as a new
uh-huh.
person, you go in and you're paired with someone who's been there for a while, is
Mm,
typically the way that works. So yeah, I always had, an apartment. There was always an apartment that I stayed in with
mm.
my companion. Some of them were apartments that we actually shared. So like there were two companionships to one apartment. That was one
Oh, that's cool.
area I was in on my mission. Yeah. So it was pretty well organized, but I was in a lot of small fishing towns, and it was just me and my companion. We were the only two missionaries in, a town of 30 to 40,000 people, and that was
Wow,
it. So, yeah.
that's wild. And who like pays for, like, how do you like, how does it
The
work? I have so many
funding,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's left up to the families. If the families
Okay.
can't, then, they're encouraged to go to their bishops or the leader of their congregation for financial assistance.
Okay.
And that, if the ward or if the congregation doesn't have enough funds pulled together, then it goes up another level to what we call the
Mm,
stake, which is a group of wards or a group of congregations that make up the stake. So sometimes, like with any organization, there are richer pockets, more wealthy
mm-hmm.
pockets than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked, my first job was at Chuck E. Cheese. I worked at Chuck E. Cheese for like 3 years in high school and first year of
Wow.
college. Yeah.
How was that?
It's great. Oh my gosh. Loved it. It was
So fun.
honestly not too bad. A lot of my high school
Hmm.
friends worked there. So it was just kind of
Okay.
hanging out, making some money.
Yeah.
Dancing in the mouse costume was by far the worst part of that job. And that
Wait, do you have stand up about this? Because that's just like so funny that it's like to meet someone that actually worked at Chuck E. Cheese. That's crazy.
I need to write it down. It's still a little too painful, a little too raw.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to trigger.
Yeah, no, I need to get it back. I need to write it down, think really about it, because they would dry clean that mouse suit once a month. So there
Ew.
would just be caked in sweat in that headset and in that. I mean, it was,
Oh, that's not
yeah,
great.
yeah, not great,
Oh.
not great at all. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then you just get kids that would just abuse you, and parents that just thought it was hilarious.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure. And you're like, I'm in here.
yeah, it's like there is a person inside of this, you heartless beasts.
Damn.
Um, Yeah, so I saved up money, and so I
Hmm.
paid, I think I'd saved up enough to pay for uh most, if not all of my mission. My parents were
Oh,
able
cool.
to kind of pay for the rest, but the way it works now is you plan on $400 a month for the two
Okay.
years. So I think it's around like, 10,000 in total for the 2
Yeah.
years, but it's financed by the family or by the individual who's going.
Okay, cool. And then do you work when you're there or no?
Nope, nope. It's all
Oh, wow.
service. I did service at like soup kitchens in some of the
Oh,
places where I
cool.
was, but no, you don't have a job. There's no 9 to 5 other than
Yeah.
preaching the good word. So our
Yeah.
days would be going out, knocking on doors,
Uh-huh.
stopping people in the metro or on a bus, and just trying to talk about Jesus, everyone's favorite topic.
Did you ever get anyone like react super weird?
I mean, most people were just like, hey, thanks, but no thanks.
Okay.
I mean, and then you run into the crazies who just want to talk to you forever.
Mhm.
And, as a new missionary, that was more tempting a conversation to get into because I don't know, coming from a sheltered, Utah, it's like
Mhm.
you're not running into homeless people all the time. You don't know that some people
Right.
are just not well and very
Mhm.
lonely. Um,
Yeah.
so you think, oh, I'm making great progress with this person. They love everything I'm saying, when really they're
Mm.
just lonely. They're really lonely people, and
Yeah.
that's fine. They need
Yeah.
attention too. But as far
Mhm.
as like getting a person that's going to be seriously committed to converting, no,
Right.
that's probably
Yeah.
not the most beneficial conversation to have. No, nobody ever really
Okay.
reacted super weird in the initial talks. There was always, I think two kind of on the weird side experiences. There was a guy from Madagascar that we went and taught, and he claimed to be a member of the faith, which, okay. And as we were talking to him, he started talking about these dreams that he'd had about marrying one of the people in the small congregation in that small town. We were sort of like, we can't really endorse you on claiming that these are visions. I don't know that you're going to marry this person, but
Yeah.
I don't know why you're telling us this. So,
Right.
sometimes you get some weird, I guess, conversational topics with people, but
Yeah. Is it the biggest in the US, or like do you get to a bigger presence in any other countries?
I think it's actually now bigger in South America than it is in the United States.
Oh,
Or bigger in South America than it is in North America. Yeah.
yeah. My
Last time yeah, go ahead.
let's say my only understanding of that is just because I watch so much 90 Day Fiance, and I feel like there's always someone that like was on a mission trip and then met their significant other in like Brazil.
Is that
It's like
right?
always it's like every season there's one
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brazil, we got a big market in Brazil. Growing
Cool.
up in the faith, there is this stigma in people who go to South American missions. They were going to be baptizing a lot of people, but not
Hmm.
have very many, converts, people that were really committed to staying in the faith. They would
Hmm.
baptize and then kind of be non-committal. Um, because I went to Quebec, the inverse was true. We had basically, I think I baptized 3 people on my mission,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and that was, which would be really sorry numbers for a South American served
Okay.
missionary. So
Okay.
they were very honest. I felt in Quebec, very honest
Hmm.
in like if they say they are coming to church, they're going to come to church. They're not going to say
Hmm.
they will and then not come to church. My
Okay.
sister served in Honduras. One of my sisters served in
Mm.
Honduras, and that was her experience. A lot of people committing to do things, but not actually doing them.
Interesting.
And I had the other problem, a lot of no's.
Yeah.
Uh, but when they said yes, they would actually come, which was
Good.
great. So,
That's cool.
yeah,
Are
yeah.
you still in touch with any of your Canadian like people?
No, I am not. I should be more. That's such a failing on my part. I tried. Actually, there was
I won't
one
tell.
guy. Yeah, thank you. There was one guy that we taught and baptized, and I reached out to him. We actually, my family, my wife, kids, and I, we went up to Quebec because my wife wanted to see kind of the area, and we were going to be in the general gist of the New York kind of
Hmm.
anyhow. So we planned a trip, went up there. I was there. I'd been kind of communicating with him, telling him, hey, I'm going to be in town on these dates. Is there anything? Never really got back to me. So maybe he just hated me. I don't know. But we
No.
got to the town and I was like, hey, man, I'm here. Is there anything we can do? And he's like, no, I'm actually just super busy. And I'm trying to remember his excuse, but I think his excuse was cleaning his apartment, that he was cleaning his apartment. He just had no time. And so I was like, okay, I
Oh, well, it
guess
must have been
that's the
a really
equivalent of,
dirty apartment.
yeah, washing your hair. That's fine. That's fine. I
Hmm.
can take a hint. So I haven't really
Mm.
reached out to him
Yeah.
because I'm a petty person. So I
Yeah,
need,
as we all should be.
right, right. Exactly. Yeah. But there are some, I mean, there were definitely some members of the congregation that I've stayed in touch
Hmm.
with, and,
Cool.
some good relationships there. Yeah,
Did you go to BYU?
I did. That's why.
Are there any other
diploma.
Mormon? Oh, okay, I was like, because I was trying to look, I was like, is that BYU? But
Yeah.
like, are there any other Mormon schools, or because that's the only one I know of?
I mean, as far as officially kind of run by the church, there's the BYU network. So there's BYU Provo, which is kind of their the flagship BYU school. There's
Okay.
Brigham Young University in Idaho, so BYU-I,
Okay.
which is in Rexburg, Idaho, and then there is BYU Hawaii, which
Ooh,
is in Laie, Hawaii.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to go there.
yeah. It's a beautiful campus. Very
Yeah.
fun area. Yeah. So those are the only three,
Okay.
and kind of the flagship is BYU in Provo.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Is that all you got for
Wow.
me?
I'm trying to think. Those were my big
Ooh,
ones.
we did it. We did it.
Is there anything else I need to know?
I mean, just that you need to read the Book of Mormon, and then you need to pray about it and come to church. That's it.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, no, it's whatever you're curious about. I didn't know if there would be aspects of the Book of Mormon musical that you wanted to get into, since you've seen it and I actually haven't. But listen to the music.
No, yeah, I was really just curious, like how it's viewed, because it's so out there. It's really, really funny. I mean,
Yeah. That's what
I
everyone
loved it,
says.
but
Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
I think the biggest testament to how awesome my faith is that they, instead of boycotting it or trying to shut it down, they took out the ad in the playbill that said the book is better.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
yeah, and I feel like that's nice because, like, I don't think the point of the musical is to really, it's not malicious. It's just like they make fun of everything, and
yeah.
they
Yeah,
took that
exactly.
to a musical. So yeah,
Well,
that was
and
funny.
on my mission, I served in a lot of little college towns in Quebec, and everybody's exposure to Mormonism was through South Park. If they knew who we were, it was because of South Park.
Yeah.
And so they knew about the Joseph Smith story. And say what you want about Matt Stone, Trey Parker, they represent it actually pretty accurately, as
Oh, really?
it might be. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that's really my only knowledge as well is from South Park.
Sure.
But
And
that's
it's
not
pretty
just with
accurate.
Mormonism. It's most things I learn about.
Yeah,
South
right.
Park.
Well, and they do a great job of being pretty fair about making fun of just about every religion. So it's
Exactly.
and I don't think it's ever really in a malicious way. It's just in a everyone's kind of sweet. They can be kind of sweet. So yeah, that's no, I think that's about it. If that's all you're curious about, then we did it. We accomplished it.
Hell yeah. This was so
Boom.
cool.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to plug before we let you get prepared for your next meeting?
No, I mean, just follow me on social media at Veronica K all day. And then, yeah, if you're in LA, I got a show on the 11th if it doesn't get canceled.
Yeah, hopefully not. I doubt it will be.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to plug ahead. So
I hope so.
Good. November 11th, somewhere in LA, you can find her live, socially distanced.
In a mask.
Yeah. Veronica, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being so open. This was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you as well. I'm sure I'll talk to you online.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.